Well, hi guys and girls, Emma again. Welcome back to the spare room and welcome back to this Patreon series. This little traction engine. We're getting there. Last time was part 6, I think, and we cut all the bits for the boiler, or some of the bits for the boiler. There's still a few little bits to do for the traction engine boiler. Page 23 in this book shows the boiler. Well, the boiler anyway for the marine engine. Mine's seen a bit of work, but the bits we need to make is this bush here, which is actually threaded M8. I'm going to thread this one M8 too, and then I've got two, basically then I've got two safety valves that I can use for the interchangeable if we have problems with one. So I'm going to keep that sort of uniform, but we need to make this bush. The traction engine has a stay through the middle, and that's what the firebox bolts through. Basically it's the same boiler, and we're looking to silver solder the ends, but we're going to put a stay through with a nut on each end. So we need to make the nuts, we need to make the threaded rod to go through the middle, and we need to make the hex rod so that we can screw the firebox on. So that's the jobs for today. I don't think we're going to get any silver soldering done. I'm very mindful that these videos are getting too long, so I'm trying to cut them back a bit. This pipe here is actually in the top here on the traction engine boiler, so we've made a modification there already, but that's what it's going to look like. So I've got materials here. Got a bit of brass for the bush, that's easy, and a bit of brass 165mm long for the stay rod, and a bit of 8mm hex or 5/16 hex for the nuts, and a bit of 3/8 10mm hex for the long nut. So it doesn't matter much what any of it is. I've gone a bit smaller rather than a bit bigger because it'll be easier to get a bit less solder around it and a little bit neater on the ends. This one I've probably gone a little bit bigger. I think this is 11mm rather than 10mm. It's 7/16 rather than 3/8, and that won't hurt either. That'll give it a bit more stability. This has got to be the right size because it's got to go through the holes in the end plates. So first job is to make the bush. I've got a bit of scrap brass there. It's only 13mm long, and it's got a step on it to go in this hole here, and it's drilled and tapped through M8 5/16. This says BSF 5/16 UNF 5/16 32 model engineer threads, probably really nice, or 5/16 40. The 40 threads is probably a little bit more reliable and a bit nicer to screw in, but this has got to come in and out for filling the boiler. So you don't really want something that the kids are going to cross thread too easy, so that's why we're going with M8. Now I got to try and do all this in one operation rather than turn it around and cut the other end. So I'm going to face this, and I'm going to turn that down to fit the tube, and give it a polish on the outside and drill it and tap it, and then part it off. And we probably need to face the outside, so I will turn it round, but you don't want to be turning it backwards and forwards all the time. So that's sort of the way I'm going to attack this. It won't take very long to do. So first job's just to face it and to put a step on it. We need to make that a nice push fit in there, is about where it needs to be. Still wants a little bit more. Stop the lathe before you put this on. Fraction more. That's a tight push fit, so it wants just a fraction more. And take what, another 5 thou, something like that. And that's pretty good, so we're going to leave it at that. So we've got M8 tap there. That's pretty straightforward. We all know this trick, I guess, but M8 is 1.25mm pitch, so the easy way is 8 less 1.25 is 6.75 we need. So 6.8mm drill we'll need to drill that. And I'll use Phil and Pierre's tap follower, which I've had for about 12 months now. It's just a really nice tool. If you've not seen one of them, that's spring loaded, so it follows the tap along nicely without having to have an extra hand to push the tailstock in. Put the tap in there with the... And that, of course, is the M6 tap in the wrong box. I'll try that one, which is M8. So the centre here is in the back of the tap wrench, and that way everything follows along nice and straight. And we'll put the tap back in the right box this time. And next job's just to give it a bit of a clean up with a bit of emery tape. And part him off. And that's not even particularly important. Wants to be somewhere there about 10mm. Or 13mm from the end. Still got the tap follower in, we can move that back up so that catch the part. And we've got a bush. Only job left is to machine the outside and take that burr off the edge. So I'm just going to reverse that in the 3-jaw chuck. Take that off there with a file like that, and we're looking something like a part. Next job is to thread this, and that's a pretty straightforward little job too. It just needs to be threaded 12mm on each end. you've got your piece cut to length. That's a pretty straightforward job. I don't have a tailstock die follower yet, so it's on the list of things to make. Probably a little way down the list. I'm probably waiting for materials that are going to be suitable. But it'll happen. I'm just going to push that up against the drill shaft, the real drill chuck there. Keep a bit of pressure on it. This isn't going to take much turning. Once we got it started, we can move that out of the way. And go back. So we need 12mm of thread on that end. We're only going to go 12mm, so it needs a little bit more. That'll be nice, and the same on the other end. Next job really is the two little nuts, and they only doesn't say much about them. And if you've got a couple of nuts that are going to do the job, thread the stay to match. If you've got a couple of 316 nuts or a couple of 5mm brass nuts that are going to do it, then in reasonable condition, bung them in the pickle and solder them on. So they're going to do. And thread the stay to match, but I haven't, so I've got a bit of 8mm or a bit of 5/16 hex brass. I've centre drilled that and faced it off. 5mm 0.8 is the pitch, so we need a 4.2mm drill, and I've got that. So I've got the first one made, and it's still got the line from the parting off there. I'm going to leave that on there for a minute, and I'll show you why. And just thread him on and use that to hold that, just to line up your parting tool for the second one, so you get them so they look both the same. And we'll mark that. Just give him a rub gently with a file. Top, bottom. So there's no burr on there. There we go. Now we could turn these round in the lathe and machine this off. Not a lot of point in that. The best way is just hold this in the vise and file this off. It'll only take a few strokes, and that'll be plenty good enough. That's soldered on anyway hard. So there's your two nuts made. And the last part for the boiler main is just a long nut. This isn't needed yet. But if we're going to bolt this boiler up to the smoke box, and I guess that's the ultimate aim here, then we need this nut, and it needs to be 15mm long and tapped M5 all the way through. because it's quite a long hole and the tap's going to bottom out anyway, and it's quite a long distance to drill, what I'm probably going to do is just face each end, or face the end and part it off, and then turn it round and face the end and drill it and tap it right through, and that'll save broken taps and things, I hope. None of this really matters. All covered up. It's nice to follow the design a little bit, and then you'll end up with something that sort of looks the same. But in all honesty, a bit inch bar in the front here wouldn't hurt. Going to make the engine a bit heavier, and an 8mm nut probably wouldn't hurt either. It wants a bit of bearing service, I feel, so everything bolts up nice and tight and square. But the length's not really critical between the boiler and the smoke box, because we're going to make a sheet to go over the top of this part here. And nothing else. There's got to be a reasonable thread on the nut, and it's got to fit the bolt in the other end. But nothing else really happens. It really matters. If you're making the steamroller or a ploughing engine or something like that, you'd probably make it a little bit longer so you've got a bit more space. But at this point, for this little engine, we're going to stick somewhere near the drawing. Now, if you're nervous about parting off, and a lot of people are, just part 3/4 of the way through. Put a piece of plywood down here on your bed and use the hacksaw, or take it out and take it across the vise if you're that worried, because we're going to turn it around and face it anyway. So now, this is pretty much all rinse and repeat stuff. If you haven't got one of these, make one. If you haven't got one, put the tap in the chuck just to start it. Set the tail stock so it moves nicely, and it'll follow along, and that'll do the job. But once it's in 2 or 3 threads, take it out, and we'll and finish it with a tap wrench. That's probably the easy and best way to do it. I'm a little bit lucky and very, very blessed with some of the tools that I have. If you haven't got any way of tapping it and you think you can do it better in the vise, just get it 3 or 4 threads, take it out, finish tapping it through. This long nut, even though it's in brass, back it out and clean the tap pretty regularly, or you're going to end up with a broken tap very, very easily. And probably I'm going to finish that in the vise. because that's all the strength I've got to thread that through there on that angle. So they've got still a pip on there from parting off. They thread on there reasonably well. Best way is just to put these in the vise and carefully file them off flat. Won't hurt to leave a bit of a burr on there because these want to be tight, if anything, rather than loose. Once they're on there and soldered up, they're never coming apart. So there's one. And the second one. And that one wants to go right up for a start, and when we've got the boiler plates together, we'll put them all together and solder them. Time to drop that in the pickle. And this one too. So anyway, thanks for watching. That's probably enough for today. We've got all the bits ready to go. It's basically just a matter of soldering it up. That's probably going to be the next video. It won't take a lot to do it. But thanks for watching, and be kind to each other. And if you're watching this on YouTube, well, like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. If you're watching on Patreon, big thanks, huge thanks to all you guys. Really appreciate your input. It makes these sort of things possible. So I'm going to try and get this soldered up, and the video won't be too far away. I don't think it's going to be this week. There's other things to do, but it might be the week after, and we'll get everything soldered. But we're ready to go, and more soon.